Keon.
This is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we fire. Because this week we watched The Armageddon Factor.
Written by Bob Baker and Dave Martin.
Directed by Michael Hayes.
And aired in January and February of 1979.
This is going to be an interesting episode, I think.
Yeah, because you hated this serial
I
loved it.
I didn't hate it. I just don't think it was as good as you think it was.
Well, this is my favorite serial ever so far now.
Yeah, you're mistaken. Because it's nowhere near that level of greatness.
No,
nowhere
you're mistaken,
near.
because it exceeds all levels of greatness.
No, not at all. Not even close. I guess we'll explain the plot first, and then we'll get into our rigorous debate over whether this is a good serial or not. It's not.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
So it starts with what appears to be some sort of soap opera style show. And then it cuts to the Doctor and Romana on the TARDIS.
Well, it cuts to some sort of hospital ward.
Well, it cuts to the Doctor and Romana, and they talk like, hey, we gotta go get the sixth piece, and then it cuts back to the soap opera, and then it zooms out to reveal that it's playing on a screen in a hospital ward.
A really run-down hospital ward.
If you can even call it a hospital ward.
It's mainly just cots and, like, some mattresses on the floor and people dying. And it looks like they don't have enough medicine or food.
Right, and then all of a sudden the roof collapses and
like, kinda crushes some old man or something.
Doesn't kill him, though, because you see him in a later scene, they're putting him back in bed, and he's like, oh, my legs.
My leg? No, yeah, that would be a pretty dark note to start the serial on. Just kill off a sick and dying old man. Anyway, then Astra and Merak show up. Astra is the princess of the planet they're on, which is called Atrios.
Right.
And they're at war with a neighboring planet, Zeos, which I guess they're like twin planets or something. They haven't always been at war. We find out later that they used to trade, but now they're at war.
Yeah.
Merak is in the army, the guard or something, but he's in love with Astra. And basically his entire character is just Astra. Astra, where's Astra? I need to find Astra.
Very one-dimensional character. So we're also introduced to the Marshal, who is revealed to have all of the power in this ruling system. Apparently, Princess Astra is really just a figurehead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sort of like the Queen of England, I guess.
Yeah.
And the Marshal basically runs everything, and he believes that the war is almost won, and they're but only moments away from victory.
Well, you don't really know if he actually believes that or not, based on, one, the fact that he's being controlled, and two, the fact that he... I guess this is also due to the fact that he's controlled, but the fact that he wants war and Astra and Merak don't.
I feel like that was just part of who the Marshal was, that he wanted war even without him being controlled.
Yeah, maybe. We don't really know.
Yeah, so they're having the little thing, and then the Doctor and Romana materialize in some sort of basement area. But just before Romana is questioning the Doctor's navigational skills once again. He's like, don't worry, I totally got this. I've never been to Atrios, but I know where it is. And Romana's like, right, sure. So they land in the sub-basement area.
Right. And by this point, if you're watching, you've realized that Mary Tam just doesn't care anymore. She hated the way her character... I don't think... Did we explain this last week, or did we just...
No, we did find out this... like, precisely why she hated the character after recording last week.
Yeah. So she started to hate the character of Romana. We mentioned, like, last week, the week before, that she was starting to become kind of a damsel in distress. And that's precisely why Mary Tam started disliking the show.
Yeah, but apparently she didn't even make her final decision on whether or not she was staying on in the future or not until they were filming this serial, so...
Yeah. Well, I read that she's gone on record as saying she would have come back to film a regeneration scene. Well, I guess we can mention this later because it's kind of a spoiler, but
yeah,
it's going to happen like in 2 minutes, so...
It doesn't happen during the serial. But anyway,
they're looking around for the next segment, of course.
Princess Astra, who I keep getting confused for Romana for reasons that'll become evident next week. Astra's been
like this episode when we probably explain what's going to happen.
Astra gets taken to Section 13 or something.
Something like that. She's called over there by some mysterious message or something from the marshal, and she gets knocked out.
Yeah, she's like, why are the kids in there? It's been closed for years. And it's like, don't worry about it, just go in there. And she's
now
like,
she gets to be the damsel in distress for a little while.
Yeah, the Doctor and Romana find her. They cut a hole through the door and like, oh, hey, what's up? And she's like, help. And then the Doctor and Romana get captured. But not K9, he just kind of wanders off to the side.
Yeah, K9 does his own thing in this serial and then gets controlled, which was awesome.
And almost killed.
Anyway, the Doctor and Romana meet the Marshal and they kind of find out what's going on. The Marshal has an assistant named Shap. Cyril Shaps. No.
That's what I was thinking for the whole serial.
Shap is kind of on board with the Marshal, but also
really
not
later
really.
on.
No. Yeah, they find out what's going on, and then K9 comes in, and the Doctor says, lights, and he shoots the lights, and they say bye to the Marshal and make their escape.
They escape, but the TARDIS is missing, and episode 1 ends, and oh no, the TARDIS is gone.
But then you find out it's just been buried under rubble.
Yeah, episode 2, oh no, it's just buried under rubble.
Yeah, you think it's going to be like someone stole it or it mysteriously disappeared, but no, it's just buried under rubble.
So Merrick shows up and is like, all right, you're going to tell me where Astra is. You've seen Astra and you're going to tell me where she is. And they're like, no, we don't know. Look, she was through this door and now you can see on the hole she's not on the other side, but we'll just have K9 blow the door up and then we'll
go in even though, the Geiger counters are going off the charts.
I wrote a note about this. They're like, I can't see her on the other side of this door hole. We'll have to blow the door open to find out if she's there. And I'm like, wait, can't you just ask K9 if she's on the other side? Like, didn't you find out initially that she was on the other side because K9 detected her body presence there?
Yeah, but they had to go into the radiated room. They had to.
Why?
They had to, for dramatic tension. Anyway, they blow the hole open and they go in and K9's like, warning, radiation levels too high.
But nothing ever comes of it.
No.
They just say it.
Yeah.
One of my problems with this serial.
No, I liked it though.
No, it was awful.
It was kind of cool.
So they're in the room. They're like, okay, well, Astra's not here, so I guess we'll just have to go find her. I bet she's on Zeos. All of a sudden, the Marshal
talks to himself in the mirror. He looks in a mirror and he starts talking to himself and rubbing his neck and kind of schizophrenia-ing out.
Yeah. But he sends guards to capture the Doctor and Romana, and they get captured yet again. And they get taken to the Marshal, and the Marshal's like, I think we got off on the wrong foot, Doctor. Meanwhile, the Marshal's secretly having K9 melted down and recycled.
Yeah. K9 is on the little trash conveyor belt. He's like, warning, heat too high, I don't know, temperature exceeds maximum value.
Master, need orders?
I don't know, John Leeson seemed to give K9 a little bit more of a personality.
Like John Leeson doesn't come back for the next season.
Think about it. When he gets righted, he's asked, is that better? And he's like, yes. Or I don't know. He says something that seems less computerish and more dog-like.
So the Doctor and Romana are talking with the Marshal, and Romana thinks the Marshal's acting pretty suspicious. So she tells the Doctor, and he's like, yeah, I think he's being controlled by an outside influence.
Also, there's something between this planet and Zeos. That's why we couldn't see Zeos, and it's not showing up on the scanners, and it just looks like empty space. See, I love that. That was really awesome.
The reveal was awful.
It was a nice plot twist. No, it wasn't. What was awful about it?
Just super underwhelming. It was like, oh yeah, there must be something there.
What do you want? Some giant explosion? And...
No, I want them to like go to Zeos, and then they're like, oh, we're getting the same readings. We can't see Atrios from here. There must be something there. And they go there, and that's how you reveal that it was a planet.
Well, why don't you just go back in time and write this
serial? I
will. I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty cool.
You think everything in the serial was cool with no explanation or rhyme or reason.
Yeah, well, you think everything sucked with no explanation.
No, my explanation is that everything in the serial was done better before.
That doesn't mean it was bad here. This was like an amalgamation of every cool thing.
That doesn't make it cool,
Yes,
though.
it does!
No, it doesn't!
Looks like we're already starting in on this.
So the Doctor and Romana have this chit-chat where they think the Marshal's acting pretty weird, and then Astra shows up on the screen and is like, surrender. You've lost. We've won. You have no way to beat us because we have Astra.
Well, I mean, even from the Marshals... Well, even from Shap's point of view, because the Marshal's being controlled, it's pretty true because they just sent in all their reserves and they're getting destroyed. You see the little scanner thing showing their ships being blown up.
Yeah. Atrius has, like, no ships left. I'm not really sure why the Marshal's concerned at all, because I'm pretty sure he was the one who ordered Astra taken to that room where she got captured. And
well, he has to feign concern.
So, also plot thread that gets dropped later.
Well, he has to he has to feign concern.
No, I mean the plot thread about Astra being captured by the Zeons, because, well, actually not that plot thread. The plot thread about the Doctor now reveals that he can build a shield that protects against the Zeons, but he'll need a Zeon for it, so he goes to Zeos to look for a Zeon, and that plot thread just gets dropped.
Yeah, well, when they find out what's actually happening. Also, do you really think he's gonna help the Marshal?
No,
it's
but they
pretty
could
obvious that he's just
resolved the plot somehow.
By just saying, oh, I was lying to the Marshal?
Yes.
It's pretty obvious. It's pretty darn obvious. It really doesn't detract from anything.
Yes, it does.
No, it really doesn't. Anyway, Romana goes behind the mirror. It's a two-way mirror. And behind it is this golden skull thing that the Marshal is talking to. He calls it his master.
What was that golden skull thing?
I guess it was just a communicator to the Shadow.
Why?
Looked pretty awesome. See, why do you hate everything in this serial? What was wrong with the golden skull? It was like the crystal skull in Indiana Jones, except not at all.
Yeah, except I hated that too. But it was like, what was the point? Just why?
The point is that it was just cool. I don't know, it doesn't really need to have a point. You don't need to have a point to have a golden skull on a little pedestal thing.
Don't, but if you make it an integral part of the plot that, oh, he's communicating to the skull, like, you'd think that put some effort into explaining what the skull is, right? If it's an integral part of that episode's plot.
It wasn't really, it was just a communicator, I guess. It probably was meant to look like the Shadow or something.
I just would have liked an explanation for anything in this serial, to be honest. Anything that wasn't Mentalis, because everything I know about this serial is about Mentalis, because that was the only thing anyone seemed to care about when they wrote this serial.
Not really. This serial had a lot of different cool aspects. That's why I like it, though. You don't have to get so mad.
Okay.
That's why this was great, because it had so many different cool things integrated into it. Anyway, that's what the Marshal's using to communicate to whoever's controlling him. Spoiler, it's the Shadow.
Yeah. So the Doctor goes to Zeos to find Zeons, finds out there's no Zeons there, and he meets the Shadow for the first time, and he's like, hey, you're gonna give me the key to time? And the Doctor's like, how about no?
Well, we actually see the scene where Astra, almost said Atrios, it's getting kind of confusing now. Astra wakes up and she's like, where am I? This is before she's controlled. She's like, where am I? And am I on Zeos? And the Shadow's like, oh, you're far away from Zeos now. Anyway, the Doctor goes to Zeos. There's a TMAT thing to Zeos.
They just have a direct link to Zeos for some reason, even though they're at war with them.
Yeah, well, no one actually knew about it. They're just like, oh, look, a link to Zeos. Anyway, well, it's all part of the Shadow's plan, but anyway, I just wanted to say, when TMAT first showed up, like, 15 years ago at this point, I never thought it would be used so dang much. But here it is, in 1979. Well, I guess it's all the same company doing... No.
Well, the Doctor says later that these are all human beings, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well...
But I assume that just any generic transportation system is just defined to be TMAT in this universe.
Yeah, of course, but it's kind of funny to think... Because TMAT is introduced as, like, a new technology from, like, a certain company, so it's, like, kind of funny to think, oh, is this all, like, the same mega conglomerate spreading TMAT throughout the universe is some sort of intergalactic monopoly.
Probably is.
Anyway, they find Mentalis.
Yeah, the Doctor escapes from the shadow by just running away from them.
Yeah, I thought the shadow was the Black Guardian at first. He's robed, he wears a mask, and he looks very shadowy.
That's what I had assumed until the Black Guardian actually shows up. I was like, nope, he was just a subordinate.
So the Marshal is serving the shadow, and the shadow is serving the Black Guardian.
Yeah.
It would have felt like the stakes... one of the reasons I like this serial is because the stakes felt pretty high compared to a lot of other serials, which makes sense because this is the final Key to Time serial. But they would have felt even more high had it been the Black Guardian. But no, it was just the shadow.
I don't know, the stakes were lessened by the fact that no one existed on Zeos.
Well, see, that's actually a cool reveal that I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was a cool reveal. I'm just saying that it lessened the stakes.
Well, what heightened the stakes is when you find out that if Mentalis gets destroyed, everything is going to get blown to smithereens. So, they find Mentalis, and it's a computer that controls everything on Zeos because no one's there, like we just mentioned. And... yeah. Its room looked really cool, by the way. Another cool computer room.
Not as good as Boss, though.
No, not as good as... No, really not as good as Boss. I'll give you that. I mean, hey... It's not like I'm going to praise every little detail of this serial.
Yeah, well, it's not like I've hated every detail of this serial. I think we just both sit on opposite sides of the fence.
But no, the room looked... I mean, it had sort of an orange color scheme going on. And the computer itself looked pretty interesting. It wasn't just a monitor sitting there in the middle of the room.
Yeah, honestly, Zeos was the most interesting set of this whole serial. Atrios and the mysterious... I actually want to bring up a point that I got confused with if the third thing was actually a planet or not, because at the end it looked like a space station.
I think they thought it was a planet, and then but it's actually a ship. But yeah, no, the sets in this serial weren't anything to write home about. They were really just, the generic sets we've seen a million times before.
The Zeos sets look like they just filmed the same set from different angles with all those, the one with the columns. There's the room right after you exit the T-mat, right? With the columns. It looks like they just kept filming that same room from different angles. Yeah, maybe every column ever on Zeos.
Yeah, maybe they did.
It was really obvious. Anyway, the Doctor's found it. Shap is accidentally transported to Zeos to come kill the Doctor under orders of the Marshal. And they're like, there's actually this computer system that's going to kill everyone. Also, the Marshal believes that the war is won for some reason, so he's going to go lead the final attack on Zeos himself in a spaceship, and he's preparing to launch
nuclear missiles.
And episode 3 ends.
And we find out that should Mentalis be destroyed, it'll activate some self-destruct countdown that blows up Atrios and Zeos. But it can't deflect the missiles because it's already been programmed to think the war is over too. So it's just going to let itself be destroyed and activate the countdown.
Yeah, the Doctor calls that the Armageddon Factor, which is the name of the serial, so there you go.
Yep. That's why it's called that. For a serial with Armageddon in the title, a surprisingly low amount of people die.
No one dies until episode 6, except for that one random guard, that one random shadow guy.
Yeah, so the Doctor decides he needs to time loop everything.
Well, no. First he tries to rip Mentalis to pieces. He also left off the bit where K9 gets controlled and takes the Doctor to Mentalis. Controlled, quote-unquote, because it's sort of foreshadowing for him actually getting controlled later.
Yeah, I think that's what actually starts the self-destruct countdown, is the Doctor trying to destroy Mentalis. And then Mentalis is like, nope, I'm going to activate this self-destruct countdown with an actually better countdown clock than we got last week. See, this is what a countdown clock should look like. I mean, it still looks 70s cheesy as heck, but better than last week.
I don't know. It was just a generic computer countdown.
I guess I liked it so much because it kept repeating.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it was the clock gets time looped, so it starts going from 10 to 7 and then back again, and then we'll explain it in a minute.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Doctor's like, we've got to time loop this, and reveals that apparently he needs the key to time loop this. Not to mention, though, the Time Lords have time looped things before without the key to time, so don't know why he needs the key. But anyway,
it was just a convenient plot thread to sort of make everything more tensiony.
Great, yet another convenient plot thread in the serial.
Go back to the TARDIS, and Rolana's like, oh no, we can't time loop it without the full key to time, and we only have 5 pieces, and the scanner hasn't picked up anything. Well, we actually didn't mention the plot thread where the scanner is homing in on Astra, but they don't really know what article of jewelry she's wearing that could, or clothing that could possibly be the key to time, but we find out later.
Also, Merrick steals the scanner at one point and knocks out Romana and takes it to go try find Astra because his entire character is Astra.
Yeah. Anyway, they can't time loop without the full key to time, so they're like, we'll just make a 6th piece. Which brings into question, why didn't they just make the entire key to time?
Well, because the 6th piece starts disintegrating.
Yeah,
right?
6th piece isn't... The 6th piece that they make isn't up to par with what the actual 6th piece would be able to do. So basically they just go rummage around in the closet for a bit, pull out a piece of styrofoam, and stick it on the key to time.
Yeah, the nice plastic key to time is a piece of styrofoam. And the dog's like, see, it worked. And K9's like, it'll work for approximately 3 more minutes. And the dog's like, what? So they reduce the time loop to, instead of the entire galaxy, to just Zeos and Atrios.
Yeah.
Atrios.
And the third planet that isn't actually a planet.
Planet's time looped.
Oh, okay, I don't know then.
I think it's just Atrios and Zeos and the Marshall spaceship.
Well, I just thought it was like everything in the general area because it was the Marshall's. Well, I guess, the third planet can't be time looped because they go there. So, that's when the countdown clock starts going from 10 to 7. And then they have like an hour or something before it reaches 0, something like that.
Yeah. Until the time loop stretches too far?
Yeah, it's basically the time loop keeps lengthening until it just doesn't work anymore, and that's when the thing will hit 0, the timer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, even if it hits 0, wouldn't the time loop just reset everything anyway? So I guess they're only concerned for the fact the time loop just won't work at some point anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. After a while, it just decreases in power so much that it just stops.
So the Doctor and Romana, the Doctor and Romana decide to go to the third planet with Merrick. Actually, Astra showed up on Zeos, sorry.
With a little... We didn't mention that the way the Marshal was being controlled was with a little...
Yeah, a little black thing on his neck.
Yeah. Now Astra has the same thing on her neck.
Astra's on Zeos, talking with the Doctor and trying to get into the TARDIS, and she abandons Merrick, and Merrick's like, what are you doing? Astra, please.
She leaves Merrick to die.
And he escapes back to Atrios to go try stop the Marshal.
Yeah, him and Shap, they go back to try and stop the Marshal from nuking Zeos before the timer reaches 0.
And, wow. Mentalis must have some powerful explosives if it's going to blow up Atrios, as well as Zeos with its explosions. I don't know why I say Zeos.
I guess it's interchangeable, I guess. I don't know.
But Astra's trying to get the key to time.
This is the first instance of fire. Fire. Which is what the Marshal says as he's time looped firing the missiles, because he fires the missiles and they start the time loop, so he's time looped firing the missiles again and again. It's really annoying how he moves his hand very slowly over the control panel and says, fire. Fire.
Yeah, see, I liked the repetition. I thought it was a good way to show the time loop, but then at a certain point it just started feeling like they were padding out the serial, and then I started to dislike it a lot.
Well, it was basically 2 blocks of him saying fire. You got the first one, he says it like 4 times, and they're like, okay, cool, you start to get it, like, he does it, and then like, oh, he's doing it again, oh, he's time looped. Then they do it again, like 4 more times, like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, if you're watching Law & Order.
And that's when I started hating. I was like, please stop. You're just padding the runtime now.
Yeah, obviously. But I liked the repetition of the countdown clock. Obviously, as it you see it progressing, you see how much time is left.
I mean, I liked it to an extent. Once again, I felt like they started overkilling it again.
There's no kill like overkill.
I think they needed some restraint in the editing room. So the Doctor, Romana, and Astra head to the third planet. The Doctor knows Astra's being controlled by the Shadow. He's already discovered the black thing on Astra's neck.
Yeah, they go into the TARDIS and he takes it off.
No, he leaves it on. He just kind of moves her collar to see it and verify that she is controlled, but he leaves it on.
When do they take it off then?
Not till Romana and Astra alone. I think Romana takes it off of her.
I don't remember that. I thought the Doctor took it off, but whatever.
Yeah, because they let Astra leave the TARDIS first, and then Romana and the Doctor have this conversation. And Romana's like, she seems kind of shady, and the Doctor's like, yeah, she is.
She's like, my destiny is here. Must fulfill my destiny. And you think she's just being controlled, but you don't know what's actually happening. I like that too.
Yeah, well, then they start to beat you over the head with it before they reveal it, because she's the 6th daughter of the 6th house of the 6th dynasty. It's like, Jesus, I got it already!
I don't know, I liked that. You know, it's like the 7th son of a 7th son.
Yeah, but once again, they start
thing.
repeating it until you just get it. She says it like 3 times.
No, I don't care.
Because like Astra says it 3 times, and then Romana says it once, and then Romana's like,
Astra says it once, and then Romana says it once.
No, Astra says it twice at least. I know that much.
Maybe she says it at the beginning.
And then Romana says it once, and Astra says it at least twice.
Well, maybe, did Astra say it at the beginning of the serial? I don't know.
Maybe?
Well, I didn't think it was that bad. I liked the reveal, too. I didn't see it coming.
Neither did I, but I wish they'd done more with it. Which we'll talk about in a second when it actually shows up. So the Doctor and Romana
revealed it.
Not really. We've revealed
She's
as much
the
as
sixth piece of the key to time.
I was going to say we've revealed as much as the serial had at this point, but okay. So the Doctor and Romana get separated because Romana gets captured, and the Doctor's like, oh no, gotta figure out how to help her, and then he gets captured too and thrown in a room.
He starts seeing illusions of Romana.
Yeah, and then he falls. Yeah, the same thing happened to Merak earlier. He saw illusions of Astra.
Yeah.
And then he,
the Shadow's like, better trap all these intruders in the illusion chamber. Too bad it never works.
I forgot to mention that K9 had been separated from the Doctor and Romana by an international computer distress signal, and then he has been reprogrammed by
the Shadow.
The Shadow.
Or one of his mute underlings. That was what they called the Shadow's underlings, mutes. I guess it stands for mutants. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe because they didn't talk, they're mute.
I thought it was because they didn't talk.
I don't know. Anyway, one of the episodes, I don't even remember which, I think it was 4, ends with K9 calling the Shadow Master, and you're like, oh god, no. K9!
I mean, you know they're gonna rescue him,
obviously, but still, it was hard to hear K9 call the Shadow Master.
It wasn't that hard. It was like, he's a computer, you know. They were eventually gonna have to do that.
No, it hit you right here.
Not really.
I'm touching my chest to indicate my heart right now.
Not really. It's kind of like, oh,
it's
cool.
not my fault you have a rock in a place of art.
No, it's not. It's not your fault. It's mine.
So you're admitting it. Anyway.
I'll leave that for you to decide. Oh, God.
Anyway, Romana has also been captured and put in the electric shock
the electric sphere.
Hey, all I have to say, well, she and Tom Baker both get put in this. They do a pretty terrible job miming pain, but I will say it was better than when Tom Baker mimed pain in Pirate Planet. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as we've seen before.
So, the Doctor has been thrown in some sort of brig/jail, and all of a sudden
the brig shows up. No.
I wish. That would have elevated the serial to god height to me.
God height.
But no, the wall opens up and it's revealed some dude named Drax shows up.
Yeah, some dude. It was really weird because they had this awkward little moment of the Doctor looking at Drax and they notice each other and they've obviously seen each other before and you're like, wait, am I supposed to know who this is? But no, it's just some Time Lord that the Doctor knew in school named Drax.
Yeah, Drax calls the Doctor Theta Sigma, Theet for short.
Yeah.
His true name.
Yeah,
or,
I didn't...
Turns out later it's just a nickname.
Yeah, no, I didn't exactly hear what he was saying until I read that it was Theta Sigma. And then I was like, wait, is that the Doctor's name? They actually name him? But no, it's just a nickname.
No, it's like a nickname you had in school, I guess.
They don't reveal that it's a nickname until a later story.
A later serial, I think.
So I guess maybe if you'd been watching this back in the day, you're like, wait, the Doctor's name is Theta Sigma?
And Drax has this heavy shoot, what's it called? Like his accent.
I don't know what it's called.
It's like a really thick British accent from a certain area.
It's a certain area of London, right?
Yeah, I think so. But he mentions that he spent like 10 years stranded on Earth because of something. I guess couldn't fix his like dimensional stabilizer or something.
Really? Maybe it's just because we're American, but really they could have just not explained that and I would have been totally okay with it. Like, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I guess the writers felt that they needed to. Maybe if you're actually British, it would have been a little bit more of a concern, but I don't know.
Well, or they wanted to give Drax an interesting backstory.
I guess. He did have kind of an interesting backstory, knowing the Doctor, and he's basically a repairman who travels far and wide fixing whatever needs to be fixed.
Yet another renegade Time Lord.
And he's the one who programmed Mentalis, we find out. The Doctor gets kind of mad that he programmed weapons, and he's like, well, what did you want me to do?
Yeah,
the Doctor's like, I don't know, not program weapons?
Not program a genocidal computer? That'd be cool.
But he says he was being held at threat of his life by the Shadow.
Yeah, and he's like, what would you do? And the Doctor's like, yeah, okay, fine. But there's
he should have been like, what's his name last serial? And they're like, no, I don't care that you have a gun at my head.
Yeah, there's a book that's apparently pretty awful, Fifth Doctor's era, with the Celestial Toymaker, that basically straight up says that like every renegade Time Lord we've ever seen, so the Master, the War Chief, the Monk, Drax, the Doctor, were all in the same graduating class of Academy on Gallifrey.
What was his teacher's name again?
Barusa?
Barusa. God dang it, Barusa.
It's all Barusa's fault. So we have all these Time Lords just running around mucking up societies, building genocidal computers. But anyway, so the Doctor enlists Drax to escape, and the Doctor crawls to this crawl space and finds K9, and K9's like, I have a message for you.
Well, first they go into Drax's little cave that he's been holed up in for 5 years, and he has all this super...
I think it's stuff from his TARDIS.
Yeah, it's stuff that he took out of his TARDIS, and the Doctor's like, you had all this, and you've still been stranded here for 5 years. And it turns out it's broken, but apparently Drax can fix it. So I don't know why he didn't do that before.
You think that's what warranted the Doctor's reaction of, you mean you've been stuck here for 5 years?
Well, it sort of calls into question Drax's...
technical ability.
And his...
loyalties?
Yes, his loyalties. The Doctor says, you're in league with the Shadow, aren't you? And he kind of reveals it, and you're like, yeah, I guess he is. But he soon joins up with the Doctor because... they both need to get out of there. And the Shadow is planning on killing billions of people. If not true, he's planning on destroying pretty much the entire universe, so I guess that's over trillions of people.
Well,
anyway, that's when the Doctor heads into the little crawl space and K9 shows up.
He's like, I have a message from the Master.
He calls him Doctor, and Tom Baker's like, Doctor? That's a little weird.
Yeah, and then he just shoves K9 down the crawl space. He's like, hey, Drax, remove that control unit from K9. He's like, okay. You see, this is where I feel like everything went wrong, because I feel like the K9 being controlled plot is such a good one, but they just did away with it so quickly.
Well, it all culminates in K9 trying to kill the Doctor.
That and him pretending to be controlled later, but they could have done so much more.
I don't know. I felt that they did what needed to be done. It was hard to see K9 try and kill the Doctor.
It's a pity that they reuse the same idea later, not only in an audio drama, but a novel as well.
Oh, well. Anyway, yeah, Drax takes off the little thing off screen, and at this point you're wondering where Drax's loyalties really lie. So you're like, did he really take it off, or is he just saying that? But no, he did.
Yeah, he did, because I'm pretty sure K9 would just kill Drax if he didn't, especially since K9 immediately threatens to kill Drax if he doesn't flip him over.
Yeah. This is what I was talking about before, when K9 sounds a little bit more human, I guess, where he's like, that's better when he gets righted.
Maybe it's that control chip having an effect on him.
I don't know. I don't know who played Drax, but his acting was really over the top, and
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
As soon as he came in, I was like, a character I can actually care about after all these other characters that I just don't care about.
Well... thing is, a lot of the time you see actors who go way over the top for a while and they kind of just tone it down, they stop caring, or they just stop putting a lot of effort into it, but this guy didn't, which was nice. He did the whole hand motions, jumping up and down and stuff the whole time. Yeah, Barry Jackson.
I think he actually just recently passed away like a year ago, maybe. I only know this because I think there's an audio drama coming out this year where Drax shows up again and they wanted Barry Jackson back for the part and he was going to do it until he passed away.
I'd listen to it.
So they cast a replacement Drax. He's a Time Lord, so I guess he can regenerate, so they can do that. But yeah, so...
Drax has to fix whatever needs to be fixed.
And K9 gives him directions like, oh, not you too, because the Doctor had been giving the same directions to Drax, and Drax didn't believe him.
Maybe that's why he's been stranded there for 5 years, because he actually didn't know how to fix it.
I think that's the implication, at least. Yeah. And the Doctor gets captured yet again, and it's revealed to him that Romana's been in this electro-torture chamber, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll get you the key to time. So he goes to open the TARDIS, and the guard Mute is standing right there, and then Drax shows up.
With the gun that he's been working on, and he motions to the Doctor, like, get out of the way, I'm about to shoot the Mute. And the Doctor's like, oh, okay, so he does, and he's like, time for you to... He doesn't say time for you to die.
Like, I'm ready for you, Doctor, and then he shoots the Doctor and shrinks him, and the Doctor's like, no, Drax, no! And you're like, what is going on?
And then immediately at the beginning of 6, Drax turns the gun on himself and shrinks himself. And the Doctor's like, you idiot, why didn't you shrink the Mute?
And Drax is like, yeah, I should have done that, shouldn't I have?
Anyway, they run off to a little corner and the Mute can't find them. Stupid Mute. I mean, they didn't look that small. I mean, what, were they ant size or what?
See, that was another point of contention, because, like, how small were they? Because when you see the Doctor and the Mute in the same frame, he's like, I don't know, like,
he's like as big as the
height on the Mute.
Yeah.
But then in the next shot, you see the Mute's foot just walk by Drax and the Doctor, and you're like, okay, maybe they failed at perspective, I don't know.
No.
They did a lot of CSO there, so really obvious, I might add.
Yeah.
But anyway, they didn't... The reason why the Doctor's upset he didn't shoot the Mute is because the TARDIS door is open. The Mute can just go in and get the key to time and break the time loop and kill millions, which he does.
Well, he waits for the Shadow to do it.
Well, he doesn't break the time loop, but he does get the key. The Shadow
shows up, and then he tells the Mute to go get the key, and the Mute... It was actually kind of funny. He goes in, and then 1 second later, he comes out with the key. It was like, wow, he found that really quickly.
Well, they had it on my table right there by that door.
But I mean, it kind of seemed like he just walked in, grabbed it, and walked out without even... I mean, you don't know. You'd have to, like, look around for it a little bit. But, hey, competent guards. Except for the ones who get killed. Which is all of them. When the Doctor kills all of them.
So they've got the key. And the Shadow is revealed to the Doctor that he's already seen the 6th key, and the Doctor has a moment of, oh no, Astra's the 6th key.
He doesn't say that yet. You're like, I was still wondering, what's the 6th key? When the Doctor's like, oh, that's what the 6th key is. Meanwhile, Astra and Romana
Astra's reciting, I'm the 6th daughter of the 6th dynasty of the 6th house of Astrios.
Well, she says, I must fulfill my destiny, and Romana's like, you don't have to keep saying that. You're not under control of the Shadow anymore. And you're like, wait, she has to fulfill her destiny, but she's not under control? What could this mean? And you're like, oh, she's the key.
Yeah, she just turns into the key. Apparently she has the power to just do that, whereas all the other ones required touching the scanner to do so.
I thought the Shadow, did it or something. I don't know. I don't really know. She turns into a little glowing pink piece.
A piece of the key.
I felt like it would be pretty cool, because this piece, glowed pink, and Astra's whole color scheme was, pink or purplish, royal colors, I guess. But... I don't know, I thought it would be pretty cool if each one had, a hue. I don't know.
There was a lot of cool things they could have done with the key to time, which I'll talk about later.
A lot of cool things I thought they actually were going to do.
Yeah.
Because all those spoilers I thought I had read was actually just me misinterpreting things.
So Merrick is actually transported over to the spaceship third planet thing and is kind of wandering around. Guess what? Looking for Astra.
Yeah, there was actually... I thought Merrick had died when he got shot, but he actually just was shot in the head or something, or scraped his head.
I don't know.
He scraped his head because he had that little headband on. That's what I just wanted to mention. And wait, did he actually die? No, he didn't. It also looks like Shap dies for a second when he falls down comically, but he's alive too. They also, Shap and Merak, meanwhile, were looking through the computer banks, and they're like, wait, Astra's the key to time. It's been coded into her DNA or something.
Jeez. Was that obvious, huh? So the Doctor and Drax decide, now that they're shrunken down, they'll hide inside K9. K9 will pretend to be controlled by the Shadow. They'll show up, steal the key, make off with Romana and Astra and K9, get in the TARDIS and assemble the key and give it to the White Guardian. Simple, and it goes off totally without a hitch somehow.
Yeah. Stupid Shadow.
Now the Shadow's like, well...
I wanted the Shadow to win.
But the light always drives out the shadow. Apparently the original conception for the sixth piece of the Key to Time was going to be the shadow of the shadow.
Yeah.
That would have been awful.
That would have been kind of interesting if they had done it right.
Yeah, but
I liked
Bob
Astro
Baker
being
and
the key
David
better.
Martin have a really rocky track record.
Well, I like Astro being the key better, so.
So the Doc's like, well, I guess we'll have to give this to the White Guardian now. And now the Black Guardian finally shows up. It's like, well, I'll just have him give it to me myself. So he turns into the White Guardian.
Tricks them.
Tries to.
He first, actually, the Doctor starts going insane. And I thought, wait, is he being controlled by the Black Guardian? But no, he was just messing with Romana. He says, this is what would happen if the Key to Time fell into the wrong hands.
Romana's like, oh, okay.
He's like, oh, good thing it didn't fall into the wrong hands then. But it almost does when the Black Guardian shows up pretending to be the White Guardian on their little screen.
Yeah, and then the Doc's like, haha. They haven't actually reassembled the key yet because the time loop is still in place and it's stretched to like 7 seconds.
Yeah, it's already down to 7 seconds.
I don't really understand what they do now, but they have to get to Zeos for some reason with the key because they can't switch out the piece with the real one in less than a second to make the time loop stable, so they go to Zeos for some reason.
Yeah, that actually happens before all the White Guardian nonsense. They go to Zeos, do something or the well, they have to cut the wires or something, and only what's his name knows how to. Only Drax knows how to do it because he's the one who built the thing.
There's like some false tension where he's like green, and it's like no wait, I have a diagram. Like Drax. He's like green.
I don't know. That was kind of funny, and they stop it on 0, and that's when obviously the time loop ends, and they're like, "Oh shoot, we forgot the missiles. Marshall is gonna launch missiles," and he does. But the Doctor somehow redirects the missiles to shoot the third planet, which...
Why, though? I just realized there's no one on Zeos. No one lives there. That was, like, the whole point of why, like, the Shadow was there.
He needed to kill the Shadow, though. Kind of out of character.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, that's what happens. The Shadow's little base gets blown up. This is when you see that it's actually just a spaceship, I guess. Either that or they did a really, really bad job of making it look like a planet.
Yeah, and then the Doctor disperses the keys across the universe, doesn't give the pieces.
This is when we get all the White Guardian nonsense where he's like, give me the key, and then they're like, oh wait, it's actually the Black Guardian, and the Doctor's like, nope, not giving you the key, gonna disperse everything, and this is actually after Drax leaves with this funny little quip about how he's gonna play the Marshal for all he's worth. Hope we get Drax back. Anyway, yeah, the Black Guardian's like, no! I'll
hunt you down to the ends of the universe, Doctor.
And it ends with Romana saying, where are we going next, Doctor? And the Doctor's like, I don't know. If I knew, then the Black Guardian would surely be able to find out, so that's why I don't know. And then it ends.
You're glossing over Romana's out-of-character outburst where she just accosts the Doctor for being a stuck-up, arrogant jerk face. She's like, I don't even know why I'm here. Like, you're arrogant, you're self-absorbed, and you don't care about anyone. Because we also forgot to mention the previous time she went off on the Doctor, when he left Merrick to just wander the halls looking for Astra, even though he knew Astra was currently in his pocket as a piece of the Key to Time, and Romana's like, you're letting him wander to his death, Doctor. Like, this isn't what we do. We should be saving him. And the Doctor's like, if we stay to save him, we won't be able to save all these millions of other lives.
Well, yeah, that's what happens. The White Guardian actually doesn't show up again. There's really not much closer to this overarching plot line at all.
Nope, and the Doctor just disperses the keys across the universe once again.
The last 6 serials, the last 26 episodes we watched were all for nothing.
Yeah, what happened to that pressing issue where he needed the Key to Time to stop the universe and fix everything, huh?
See, this is why I like to believe what I thought was happening, what I thought I had spoiled for myself, actually did happen. So, because here's what I thought was going to happen based on what I read, because I read I was in spoiler territory, basically, reading, and then I was like, oh no, scroll up really fast, and I kind of only got a glimpse of what it was, right? I thought I had spoiled it, but I actually didn't. Here's what I read. That the Black Guardian shows up at the end pretending to be the White Guardian. That actually happens, but that the White Guardian was the Black Guardian the whole time, and he was just manipulating him into getting the keys for him. But
yeah, so
no.
that whole, you'll see this whole season was all for nothing.
Yeah.
That whole thing you've been doing to me.
Yep. I didn't know until I watched this episode. I thought it was actually going to be like the White Guardian shows up and he's like, oh no, it was the Black Guardian all along, which would have been way cooler than what they did. Would have provided a little bit more closure. But no, it's actually just the Black Guardian shows up at the end pretending to be the White Guardian. But hey, I'll just believe whatever I want to believe.
Yeah. No one can stop you. Anyway, this serial was the third best of this season. What do I have to admit?
You have to admit.
I'm about to say I have to admit the serial's good.
No, I was going to say that too, but I was also going to say you have to admit that what I thought was going to happen was better than what actually happened.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, this is my favorite serial.
No.
Of all time.
No,
so
War
far.
Games still is way better.
Is up there with War Games. I'd put this a little higher over War Games, just a little bit.
War Games is far superior. The serial just introduced a lot of plot lines, didn't resolve them, and also served as a really bad conclusion to the Key to Time arc.
What didn't it resolve?
It didn't resolve that I gotta go to Z-House to make a shield. It didn't resolve...
We discussed this.
Exactly, so, like, me pointing out what they didn't resolve is pointless, but...
Yeah, but we discussed that obviously he was just going to Z-House to find out what the heck was going on.
Well, obviously, there's no way I can convince you to not like it, no way you can convince me to like it. I just think
what if I put you in the electric shock
You would have
chamber?
to kill me. I just think this serial... I didn't care about any of the characters, first of all, which is, like, automatically knocks any serial for me down, like, 3 notches. Except for Drax. Like, Drax was the first character I cared about, including everyone except the Doctor, including Romana and K9. Just did not care. And I guess that's partially because none of the characters had, like, any legitimate character development. Like, Merrick was all Astra, 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 and the Marshal was all war, war, war. And Astra was like, I just want to serve my people. And then she gets captured and controlled by the Shadow, and the Shadow's only purpose is key to time, key to time, key to time, right? Everybody's motivation can be summed up in, like, one phrase.
Yeah, that usually makes for something not too enjoyable, but I don't know, I really liked this serial because it was, as I said before, just an amalgamation of so many different cool things, and I thought it worked all together.
Like I said before, an amalgamation of cool things doesn't make the amalgamation cool.
Why not?
Because all the pieces have been done better before, and when you put them all together and just being done mediocre, it just makes a mediocre serial.
Well, I thought they were done better here than how they'd been done before. Which is why I really liked this, because it took a bunch of cool concepts, all did everything at once, and it just turned out really great, in my opinion. I even didn't care about the shoddy acting. Mostly on Mary Tam's part, but also on some other characters' parts, too.
I don't know, everything just felt like a retread of old ground without adding anything new. And it was like, if I wanted to see a genocidal computer, I'd go watch, I don't know, the War Machines, and the Green Death, and, you know, any of the previous... genocidal computers we've had before. If I wanted to see a war between two people
was the best.
that have been going on for years and years and years, I'd go watch, the
Genesis
War Games,
of the Daleks.
Genesis of the Daleks, you know, things that have just been objectively better.
Objectively better, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no. But I don't know. I liked so many of the different things in the serial. K9 being controlled, the computer, Astra's the key to time. There were just so many good reveals, and
there were good reveals that didn't lead anywhere. Like, they could have done more with the Astra as the key to time. They could have made this whole, like, ethical quandary, like, should we actually turn her into the key to time? Like, is it our right to, like, basically kill someone to do this? The K9 being controlled, like, if they'd introduced it earlier, maybe K9 had actually been a villain instead of being controlled and then immediately being uncontrolled by Drax in his very next scene.
It wasn't the very next scene. It was a little while.
2 scenes later.
It wasn't like 2 scenes later. It was
2
like
appearances
the
of
next
K9
episode. It doesn't matter. It still all culminated in that great scene where K9 almost kills the Doctor. And you're like, no, K9, Doctor! And he gets pushed down that shaft.
I just didn't think it worked. And that's the end of that.
I think it worked excellently.
No.
Yes.
And, I mean, this provides a good segue because I also thought it was just a poor resolution to the Key to Time arc, which wasn't exactly a good arc to begin with.
No. Well, it was their first try. Which doesn't excuse that they just kind of abandoned everything. But I don't know, it was just done really poorly at the end. But I'm just going to believe that the spoiler that I thought I had read was actually true because it makes everything that much better.
Sort of. I still wish the Black Guardian had hired the Master. We'd got a Master Doctor serial in this final episode.
Yeah, the Shadow could totally have been the Master. That would have worked really well.
They could have also totally... Black Guardian could have given him a non-crispy form as reward for helping him, and then been like, that could have resolved that plot line.
Yeah, it would have been a pretty great way to explain it. I mean, I'm not sure how they actually do, but...
They don't. Mild spoiler,
whatever.
but they don't.
No, whatever. Chance lost. Chance lost.
Once again, they missed an opportunity with that. I don't know. I expected a lot more from this arc. I guess this is our season retrospective. They could have done a lot of interesting things.
For once, it's actually going to be more than this season had like one good serial and the rest were pretty good.
Just unfortunate that they just threw a bunch of normal serials into this arc by adding the key to time randomly in them.
It started well, because, the first two serials, Pirate Planet and Reboss, were pretty good, and you might not expect that they're gonna jump full throttle into an overarching plot line right to begin with. You think, okay, they're just gonna ease into it, sort of have some individual standalone serials that have to do with the key to time, and that's what we got at the beginning. Reboss and Pirate Planet both had the key to time as an integral part of the plot. Then it sort of just evolved into how can we throw the key to time in a serial that could have been placed anywhere.
Yeah. Which is
except this actually did kind of a good job of doing it, because
I said, they could have done more with Astra.
Well, here I liked it because the main villain was actually after the key, not like, oh, the key is just randomly here for no reason, like it was in Kroll or something like that.
Yeah. So just a poor job all around. Kind of a cool concept that they just let the ball down immediately after it started rolling.
And I don't know. The ending, I guess, makes sense. The things return to the state they existed in before this serial even started. Well, I guess the keys are in different places now.
Except for Astra.
Yeah, Astra. But at the same time, you kind of makes you think, what was the point of it all?
Yeah. Also, you think putting Astra immediately back where she was is kind of a bad choice, considering the Black Guardian knows that...
Well, if he doesn't know where the other five are, then whatever. I guess he can capture Astra, but he has to go find everything else, and the Doctor's obviously not going to ever reassemble it again.
Well, he snapped the scanner, so we'll have to get another one from the White Guardian. Maybe the Black Guardian can make one, I don't know. Very ill-defined powers.
I'm still going to try and convince myself that the White Guardian was the Black Guardian the entire time, because it makes things that much better. Anyway, we forgot to mention that Astra goes back, and Merak sees Astra and forgives her and everything, and they all live happily ever after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah, it's really not that important.
The Doctor's got a randomizer on his TARDIS, which means he doesn't know where he's going now.
I cared, though, about Astra. Merak was kind of like, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, the Doctor doesn't know where he's going. What's new?
Except now he actually doesn't. Now he doesn't even have to pilot it. He just has to pull the switch and then it just goes. It's really convenient.
And if anyone, he has this new device. They don't show it on screen, probably because they didn't.
It's right there. It's the little blinky light thing right there by the switch. That's what it was.
Well, that's pretty terrible. It's just a blinking light.
It was like a little rectangular prism that was obviously clearly bolted onto the console at a later date.
I didn't see that at all.
Yeah, go back and watch that final scene. You'll see it zooms in on it right before the Tom Baker goes to flip the lever.
Huh. I didn't notice that somehow. I thought they just didn't show it on screen because oh no, we didn't make it. Quick, don't.
Now it's attached to the console.
Huh, that's interesting. Well, yeah, now if anyone questions the Doctor about not knowing where he goes, hey, I just have to deter the Black Guardian, okay?
Yeah, so the Doctor carries on with Romana for a whole season of audio dramas between now and the very next serial, in which Romana regenerates. Spoilers.
Into Astra.
Into Lalla Ward, who played Astra.
What kind of name is Lalla, anyway?
A cool one. You wish your name was Lalla.
No, I don't.
You wish your name was as cool as Lalla.
My name is as cool as Lalla. I actually like my name. Keon is a pretty cool name. Anyway.
So is Lalla.
I guess. Anyway. We knew the entire time that this was the only serial of... Yeah, the only season of Mary Tam Romana. Mm-hmm. She regenerates partly, actually, solely because Mary Tam leaves the show.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know, do they ever...
I think they show the regeneration.
Yeah, I think they do too, but
vaguely.
I wonder if they're going to try and explain how she's the exact same person that they saw, or if they're just going to say, if they're not even going to mention it.
They do. I actually know this somehow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'll see what happens next week then.
But yeah, Lalla Ward briefly marries Tom Baker in 1980, I think, and they get married for 16 months. Then they divorce. But yeah, it should be interesting.
So yeah, while the show is going, obviously, because we're almost in the 80s. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding.
The 80s is where it goes all downhill. I have a feeling we're going to have more arguments about whether a serial is good or not in the 80s. I think we'll get some serious polarizing serials coming up.
I don't think we'll have anything as polarizing as this, where I think it's the best serial I've watched and you kind of don't like it. But
it's the third best serial this season, which places it squarely in the middle.
It's the first best serial of any season that I've watched. Anyway, should we do a little Romana 1 retrospective here? I mean, we kind of already have over the course of
we should
episodes.
Do a Romana retrospective now. I guess it would make more sense.
So, Mary Tam, good actress.
Well,
when she cares. She cares.
I don't know. I think Tom started to rub off on her a bit, and they started not going. We also forgot to mention the dumb outtakes and bloopers that they filmed during this serial, which I thought were hilarious.
The Christmas scenes.
Doug Who. Yeah, they filmed this little short that implies the Doctor and Romana getting it on in the TARDIS. K9 drunkenly sings "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." But it's pretty obvious that I think they enjoy each other's company and they have a lot of fun with it, I think. But I think that bled too much into their role on screen and they stopped acting and started just being themselves.
Well, and obviously Mary Tam kind of disliked the way her character was going, as did Caroline Ford back when the show was first starting as Susan.
Yeah.
As I recently learned by listening to Verity.
It seems, I think...
here. Anyway.
Plugging other shows, it's on purpose. I don't know, it's interesting. I think that a lot of companions leave either because, one, they don't like the direction their character's going, or two, they get a better job offer. It doesn't seem to...
Well, I mean, it's one or the other. I mean, if you like the show and you don't have any other offers, you might as well keep doing it.
I'm surprised there hasn't been an actor or actress be like, no, my character's had a complete arc. Write me out at the end of the serial or something, Like, the good of the show above everything else. But, money rules the world, so who cares anyway?
Well, I mean, if you like the character... I mean, I guess if you like the character to the extent that you want them to have, like, sort of a complete storyline, then yeah, you'd say that. Yeah. But if you like the character just in the sense that anyone might like a character, you're probably going to want to keep playing that character if they're fun.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Romana was the first...
I actually liked Romana.
I liked Romana too. Well, she's not done yet, but I liked the first Romana. We've had snarky companions before. Sarah at times, not really, but at times. Leela, of course, was just the outlier, the awesome outlier. But I don't know, Romana brought something interesting to the show. She's a Time Lord, but she wasn't Susan.
She was an equal of the Doctor, I think, is what made it interesting.
Yeah, unlike, say, I don't know, Joe or
Jamie.
Pretty much anyone else.
I'd put Romana 1 above Sarah Jane in terms of favorite Fourth Doctor companions, at least.
Yeah, I would
Sorry,
too.
Sarah.
I would say if we're gonna rank them, and I say this
you don't like
every
rankings,
episode, I don't like rankings. But she's up there with Leela, I guess.
Yeah, I think she was just fun to watch, like Leela was. Brought a different side to the character. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with her character continuing forward. I mean, we've seen writers kind of flounder with what to do with a new Doctor. And I think Lalla Ward consistently complained for her first two serials that the scripts were being written for the previous incarnation of Romana rather than her incarnation. So I guess we're going to have more of that. I don't know what to do. We have a new incarnation of the same character.
Well, I mean, she has to characterize her incarnation before they can...
Yeah,
but I guess they can work together and stuff.
Well, I mean, it'll probably end up being like a robot situation where it's a script very obviously written for the previous incarnation, where the new incarnation has to take it and do something interesting with it.
I guess.
But we'll see. I think we'll have more to say about this Romana 2 when
we actually watch one of her serials.
Well, what I mean is I think we'll also have more to say about Romana 1 when we've seen the complete character development. Maybe. About Romana 2 as well. But yeah, so Romana, goodbye, Mary Tam. She also just recently paused, I think, in 2014.
I think it was 2012. I don't know.
recently in the 2010s. So yeah, email us at thedoctordecoratevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, thoughts on this cereal that we will read and probably either disagree or agree with depending on who reads it. Check us out on YouTube at Trust Your Doctor.
Or if you're just like, it was middle of the road, then we probably won't agree with you at all.
I would, because that's basically my opinion. If you just hated it, I think I'd also disagree with you, though. Because I don't think it's hateable. Check us out on iTunes at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating if you like the show. Tell your friends about the show. Spread the word. And watch out in February for our crossover with Flight Through Entirety about the English Way of Death, featuring the second Romana.
Yes, also check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook, also check us on Twitter, TYD Podcast, and follow us on Twitter. And next week, we watch the first Dalek serial since season 12.
Genesis.
Destiny of the Daleks. But until then, the end.